So good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome. Welcome back to our fifth series of Small Enterprise webinar series. Uh, we are seeing 120 participants today, and we are seeing a drastic improvement in our registration uh, every week, and we are quite excited about that. I think this season is uh, encouraging everyone to learn from their home, so it is a fantastic opportunity for all entrepreneurs to learn more about how to streamline their business, how to scale up their business. We come out with various topics, and today we have expert speakers from across various companies, Captain Yogesh Kundra, Ms. Carmit, Glik. We will introduce them separately before they start the session. Mr. Anand Biswas and Dr. Hitesh Bhatt from Retail Association of India. Today, the major concern is logistics, which is a tough situation at the present COVID season, managing product from A to B or from the manufacturing units to the retail is becoming a major challenge, and a lot of businesses are closed down. You see how things are happening across. So keeping this situation in mind, and probably this is all good for a new strategy that has been developing across the country or across the world. The online business, the e-commerce platform is booming. The support companies like Delhivery and the Cogoport, the logistics technology partner, they are doing extremely well. I can see from the news and interacting with them. So this is a great opportunity, and the experts in the industry like Captain Yogesh and Dr. Hitesh Bhatt, who is the head of marketing for the Retail Association of India, who is in touch with most of the retailers, whether it is Walmart to small kirana shop, they all come under the Retail Association of India, and they know the problems they are facing, and they are talking to governments to try and see what the best they can do to ease a lot of their fees and kind of issues that are facing, how to manage the situation, how to make things easy for entrepreneurs and make things happen from either from a manufacturer to retailer or from a retailer to a end user. How to make things happen while we all are locked in their respective homes. You need your day-to-day things. The businesses need to really do their day-to-day activities. We all need things to happen on a smooth, systematic manner. So logistics and supply chain is key to any business. So I will leave the topics to be explained by the experts. I will take this opportunity to welcome you all once again. We're very thrilled to see the numbers going up. It's so nice to understand that every entrepreneur would like to learn about how to improve their business. We are going next webinar onwards, kind of a bit more industry-specific topics that can help your business. So I would like to welcome you once again and share today's topic agenda to keep you all understand how what is the session today, what is the lineup today. I need to take some time to restart this PPT so that you'll have a clear idea about how these sessions are going to happen today and what is lined up and who are the speakers, what they're going to talk, what are the topics they're going to talk. So this will be a great opportunity where you all can listen from there. So I'm going to share you today's agenda. The main theme of today's webinar is innovations in logistics and supply chain management. So I hope you can see this. So today's topic is innovations in logistics and supply chain management. How to know more about your 4PL logistics, what are the latest trends in logistics, e-commerce platform, 4PL, WMS and VMS solution providers. All these topics will be discussed by the industry experts. We thank our partners, Wadhwani Foundation. They have been with us throughout all these webinars, and they are helping us a lot in identifying speakers, getting us the right direction in certain topics, connecting to a lot of industry experts to understand what are the pain points for an SME and what should be done, what topic should we talk, what is the main issue they are facing, and accordingly we tailor make the entire webinar. So Wadhwani is a key partner in forming the entire webinar series, and we really thank them for helping us out each and every webinar. Our partners like Cogoport. Cogoport has been with us for entire conferences. When we did the physical event across various cities, Cogoport was our partner, and they know probably they are a young logistics technology partner company, so they want to be in the market, and I think they are doing extremely well. Delhivery is another partner who've been with us also for many events across various cities. Now they joined us for this event because it's specifically talking about logistics, which is a key business they are into. Ecosystem partners like TAI, Coimbatore, Kerala Startup Mission, SIDBI, SME Chamber of India, the Association of Marathwad based in Mumbai, and the Automobile Component Manufacturers Association. All these associations, we are also having more people joining us because the trend is every SME want to learn more about each and every aspect of a business, whether it's logistics or technology or finance. So it's going to be very interesting for everyone to know what it is. Here it is, a brief about today's session. Everyone's business is quite unique, and you have your own capabilities, and you need a strong logistics partner to help your business take to the next level, and which can help you keep your customers happy. It's a great opportunity for you to learn how the latest trends in logistics and supply chain can help you take your business. So stay tuned till the end of the session. It'll only going to help you and learn more about this session, how it can help you. So sharing you today's agenda. After the welcome introduction, the first session is going to be done by Captain Yogesh Kundra. Captain Yogesh is the president of Gati Academy, which is a company run by him. So he's going to talk about technology adoption for overcoming supply chain barriers. A very interesting topic, which everyone should take notes. I insist everyone to take notes because this is a great learning opportunity. Ask questions towards the end, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you answer this question. After that is going to be Ms. Carmit Glik. She is the MD, Managing Director for Cogoport Europe, and I think she handles the entire international business for Cogoport. The topic that she's going to talk about is disruptions in global manufacturing that could affect SMEs in India. So this is an eye from the international market, who knows what are the problems faced by Indian manufacturing sectors, especially how SMEs are facing it. So she's going to talk about that. And we have Dr. Hitesh Bhatt, who is the Director of Marketing for Retailer Association of India, who will be talking how should retailers relook at their supply chain to sustain their business. This is something different because it's nothing is the same what you have seen before. This is a new normal. Like last time what we have discussed, that this is a new normal. How do you manage your business in the new normal? So you need to relook into these activities and see how well you can sustain your business by adapting or relooking into your supply chain process. Mr. Anand Biswas is the speaker who will be followed by Dr. Hitesh, and he is head of SME business at Delhivery. He's going to talk about the impact of COVID on your supply chain. So listen to all these experts, and the last is our networking at the launch, and thank you. And I would like to take you to the next sessions. What we are going to come out is Smart Finance, which is next week. So it's again an interesting opportunity for you to understand. And the last one for this month is on opportunity and adversity. So the May month, we'll definitely come back and explain what are the calendar for the month of May. But this is what we are going to do for the month of April. Quickly, as normal, that how we see in most of our sessions, we would like to run through you to our presentation on what Aspire Media is all about. I hope you can see this screen. So Aspire Media is a publishing company. We started in 2010. So about 10 years in the market, I think we have gone to most of the places, whether it's metro or small towns, understood what are the pain points of SMEs. So our publication of platform is the only platform in India which helps an SME to learn about technology or logistics, marketing, insurance, banking and finance, whether it's even business travel, automotive, anything to do with this business. So we help them learn about through our platform. So this is a magazine. So we have an online portal for SMEs, which is called smallenterpriseindia.com. We have the magazine with print and digital. We have a business club which is coming up. We have the platform for both startups and SMEs, and we have an annual award. The 4th award is coming up in October this year. So we have all type of support platforms where we can help you reach your target audience through email marketing, online survey, webinar is happening, and industry events, and also a consulting division which helps SMEs understand how the business has to be taken to the next level. is headed by Dr. Krishna Kumar, who's an ex-KPMG, which is part of our own company. So this is how our magazines look like, the cover story, a brief about smallenterpriseindia.com, so which you can refer and learn more about your businesses. These are certain covers of magazine. This is the target audience that we have. We also look into the rural, urban entrepreneurs to help them learn more about improving their business or scaling the business, whether it's a one-man show to about 500 plus companies. I mean, employees company, we definitely help them according to the requirements. So the market reach for our publications, whether print and online, is quite nominal. It goes across all the states in India, and specifically, it's a niche publication, so you can see that reaching the SMEs and entrepreneurs across the country. The readership profile, basically, it starts from a startup or a SOHO, a small office, home office, entrepreneur, SMEs and medium business owners, marketing heads, IT heads, and finance decision makers of the magazine. Small Enterprise is also on Geo platform, giving an access to 250 million Geo Prime users, which is one of the largest, outreach in the market through where they can download our digital magazine absolutely free of cost. So we are also on Maxter, which is paid, but Geo is completely free. Whoever gets a Geo, has a Geo Prime account, they get our magazine free. Apart from that, a lot of other media as well. But we are the only SME media in that platform. So this is the editorial calendar just to give you a gist about how our monthly publication is going to help an SME. This is very important because our magazine is completely different from any other business magazine. Most of the business magazines are completely news oriented, whether it's current news or kind of political or talking about the big names, how they are progressing, but nothing about how an SME can really help a business grow. So we have our cover story based on certain aspects, how to grow from small to big, how to keep your workplace more attractive for employees or retain talent, startup essentials, franchising, manufacturing for businesses that we're talking about smart manufacturing these days. So we had an event also on smart manufacturing in Coimbatore last month in February. So we are talking about manufacturing, how to change your platform and move to digital or make your manufacturing become smart. We talk about SME banking. We talk about technology for small business across all requirements for your business. Logistics, banking and insurance, marketing, entrepreneurship in general, what is happening in India and how entrepreneurship schools are doing. This is something unique that we are coming up with, and also women in business. So this is what about our magazines basically, and how the covers look more or less what you can see here. We have technology, we have essentials and small to big, and various other topics in marketing, banking, and finance and logistics, all being covered. This is our SME club, which we will be connecting with our lead generation platform, which are coming up soon in the next couple of months. So people who join there will get this club membership as part of the package. The awards is gearing up quite well. This is going to be the 4th year award that we are going to conduct. First year we did in 2017, 2018, and 2019 was a third, and this is going to be a 4th this year. It's going to be in October. And we also have a startup platform called Aeonian. It's a Greek word, means unstoppable. So this is also gearing up very well, which we have pitch partners from across Japan, UK, Middle East, India, and various other countries. A lot of people are looking at coming to a platform as investors look at Indian startups, which is a hot hub for investors across the globe. So these are the segments and the bifurcations of our reach industry-wise and also the state-wise. Aspect Consulting, headed by Dr. Krishna Kumar, will be able to help SMEs, anyone who needs help in scaling up their business and or helping them to their day-to-day issues they're facing, whether it's marketing or project management or any finance or any issues they're facing, we will be able to help you. Aspire Events, which meant for corporates as well as for any companies who are looking at their target audience, which is industry-specific as well. It could be any event that we can organize for you. So these are a few images from our last event. So thank you. And these are the partners. So we keep adding up more and more partners to our platform because we believe in collaboration and that's how we work and grow. So thank you all once again. So let me get back to the first speaker. Thank you for listening. The first speaker is Dr. Yogesh Kundra. And let me introduce Captain Yogesh Kundra is the president of Gati Academy from Hyderabad. He's an experienced co-founder with a demonstrated history of working in the transportation, trucking, railroad industry. He's skilled in operations management, strategic sourcing, warehouse operations, management, and contract management. As a strong business development professional as well. He earned his BE in mechanical engineering from Visvesvaraya College of Engineering from Bangalore University. So welcome, Captain Yogesh Kundra, and
Thank you so much.
over to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
I hope you all taking good care of yourself and all the new ones during this pandemic of COVID-19. And I also thank Dojo for the kind introduction, with special thanks to the organizers, Badwani Foundation and Aspel Media for the opportunity extended to share our thoughts on today's very important subject, which is concerning every business globally, is on managing the supply chain, which has got disrupted all over. Today's main focus of my topic would be to share some ideas on how to overcome supply chain barriers through technology adoption and process innovation, primarily focusing with my experience on road transportation in the Indian scenario. I will start with an anecdote which I heard from Honorable Union Cabinet Minister, who said that COVID-19 should be seen as an opportunity for the India growth story, and he gave a lot of examples how India's Made in India, Make in India, Digital Skill India, all programs put as a strategy together can bring in a lot of industries which are operating globally in China back into India. I would start with the same background that supply chain in Indian companies, which has gone through a major improvement, but now is the time that we can go in for a disruption. As a supply chain model, we normally look at the supply chain should mitigate supply shocks, manage demands, flexibility. It should be collaborative. It should be agile, and should make the place more safer. So we need to build a platform and approach which should have all components of automation, should have less direct contact in operations, should become paperless, should be integrated so that the visibility which is available in the supply chain operations will enable us to understand the impact of disruption and also help us in mitigating the future shocks in the supply chain due to any sudden change happening. So a typical traditional linear supply chain is directly with very compartmentalized, and it is operating within the functional structures, and then there's a linear convergence happening for the supply chain to operate, which is having its own limitations. With digital approach, the use of technology, the traditional supply chain networks break the silos between all the functions and make the whole thing absolutely visible so that the visibility enables collaboration, responsiveness, it becomes agile, and also enables optimization. It helps us to manage our risk and also gives us a continuous business continuity plan, and also helps us to adjust to recover whenever there is any unexpected changes happening in our supply chain. A typical answer what we should do to make it happen to our Indian context is to create a digital transportation platform which will enable logistics execution, replacing the physical operations. It typically would mean that we have all stakeholders coming onto a single platform, and the platform is mobile driven with rapid information sharing. It is intelligent and supports the AI and machine learning tools to take faster and quick decisions. The instrumentation used, like sensors, GPS, sensors like temperature control sensors or fuel sensors, will will enable the flow of information accurately, and the hardware which is there should be open so that various manufacturers are making hardware is are compatible to each other and work together. So a typical digital platform will address most of the issues which are the basic expectation of a very efficient supply chain. How there are four pillars around which the integration can take place. One side is the shipper side, where we have the shippers giving the product details, their requirement of types of trucks and assets required for transportation, specifications, and the lanes and quantities that they want to make. The other side is there is a complete automation which has happened on the government side. We call it Parivahan Seva is the name given, where almost all trucks, which all assets which are registered are electronically visible, are digitized. We have almost 21 crore of vehicles digitized. We have 11 crore drivers digitized. The entire information in terms of their statutory compliances, their fitness, everything is available, which can be used for validation online, which will make which will bypass a lot of manual operations which are currently taking place. And then we have transporters, fleet owners, brokers, all the stakeholders who are giving services to who are part of the supply chain are on the board and supported by various services like insurance, fuel outlets, finance companies, other fleet services agencies are on the platform. They all are on the common platform. They are interacting with each other, and information flow is happening seamlessly to ensure all parameters of an efficient supply chain are addressed. How does a typical workflow takes place? No, I said we have various masters maintained. We have Parivahan Seva, we have shippers masters, we have service providers, we have other service providers. So whenever a transaction takes place, there is an automated validation takes place for the genuineness of the asset happening or transaction happening. For example, if a truck is engaged by a shipper, and immediately he can key in login or key in the vehicle number, registration number, the entire history can be downloaded from Seva portal for validation that the vehicle required is genuine as per the requirement. All statutory compliances can be validated. Shippers down the line are all posting their requirement, destinations, quantities which they would like to move their cargo. And then we all those assets are visible through GPS, RFID sensors. And then we have a demand supply aggregator platform working, which will balance the demand of the shipper with supply from the service provider, and the freight index will decide the the current freight based on demand and supply, or could be pre-range freight, and the complete operation of a truck while placing the order till the payment can be automated without physical transaction taking place or any paper exchange document taking place on that. The next one, the next to that is your payment gateway module, which is integrated. So as per the commercial arrangements, the advance payment, the balance payment, and in case any en route services are taken by the fleet owner, like fueling of vehicle or any eat outs which are part of the network plan, can also be accounted in your payment gateway so that the whole process becomes cashless. Depending on the type of how much of uh, direct engagement the shipper wants to have, there could be a third party who would, moment a transaction is closed on the platform, there's a third party giving a financing the trip. So the financing can get trip wise and it gets closed. So the cost of finance is further reduced on that. So the entire operations from order to payment cycle can be on a single integrated platform. And if this happens, then we can imagine that the entire supply chain activities which are linked around the transportation will give all the validation which expectations which are required to be cost effective, to be efficient, and also to be responsive to any immediate change happening in the market because of any unknown reasons. A typical, I would say there are four, five, six steps by which we can say whole process can be automated. Digital order management can be, moment an order is inquiry happens, the customer can see the visibility of his inventory, of the product availability, production schedule. The orders can be closed digitally. Once orders are closed, the intimation goes straight to the logistics stakeholders that expectation type of vehicle, product requirement, the 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 logistics service provider will automatically start mobilizing the vehicles and start giving the details of the vehicles required on for assigning the order to that. And once he gives the details of his RC book or the driver license, the logistics will validate through the portal that the inputs given about the vehicle are are uh, are genuine and it is not fake. And the vehicle, when it comes to the plant for loading, the GPS gives the exact location the vehicle has arrived. You can validate that. The truck will go to a particular spot where the complete photograph is taken on the body, load specification. So one can simulate the whole process and see whether the truck will be compatible for the load which has to be transported or cargo which has to be loaded. After this validation takes place, the driver will punch in his license and his RC book, which can be physically validated digitally that the documents are physically held by the driver, and the vehicle moment goes into the plant, the loading way knows that gets the intimation to the loading supervisor that this vehicle is coming for the load, and the load is kept ready. When the loading takes place, the entire thing is videographed, which with all the loading processes being followed is are tracked on that. And moment the loading is over, the loading warehouse supervisor will immediately uh, give the confirmation of loading done. The commercials take over. They prepare the invoice. They get the e-gate pass done. They prepare all the back-end documentation required and give confirmation for the driver on his mobile app to move on to the outbound area where the truck is again physically inspected or visually inspected, scanned for the quantities taken, and then the documents digitally issued to the vehicle, and vehicle moves out for the on the journey. And then when the vehicle moves out on the journey, the en route tracking starts, and all the stakeholders are visible, are given the visibility of the asset before it reaches the destination. The advance intimation is given. The the consignee is ready to receive the load. Once the truck is before the truck is reaching, the truck availability for reload lane is already available to all the shippers in that area, and they will, while they are posting their requirement, the truck will be the truck utilization can be captured in advance before the loading starts or before the unloading of the vehicle is done. And at the time of delivery, everything is again photographed, videographed, counted, digitally counted, and confirmation given that the cargo has been received safely, and confirmation given on a digital POD. So these are the uh, all six basic process from end to payment are digitized and automated. To make it happen, what is required? We need to have sense and response ecosystem. That means, as shippers, as all stakeholders, we will ensure that all vehicles should be with a suitable GPS RFID chip, so that its visibility can be tracked by all of them, and it should be uh, all locations should be geofenced. The hardware protocols should be such that various types of various manufacturers GPS can be sharing information, and government laws have to be modified so that the public assets which are moving are available on a common platform for which is which can be accessed by all stakeholders who are registered to the port to the platform. The decision drive is very important. All the masters have to be created if this has to work. Most of the work is already done. What is required is only integration. The government is already digitized the entire records of the vehicles. All en route toll gates are geofenced. All retail outlets are geofenced. We just need to put all the pieces together so that the distribution drive can enable us to give the entire visibility of the activities happening from end to the delivery side. The effort should be that there should be no entry of primary information happening when the transactions are happening. Everything should be picked up from the base master data on that. And all payments should be made mandatory to be digital and not with any cash or check payments. So in process information side, innovation side, we have sharing of information digitally between internal and external stakeholders. Authorized stakeholders are given master data access. Primary data creation should be done through authorized agencies, and the infrastructure required for making all operations digitized should be shared one so that the cost gets optimized for that, and there should be an independent process compliance and certification happening so that there's no deviation happening in the entire operation flow. On the technology side, the hardware has to be very simple. Software should be very user friendly to operate so that a semi-skilled person can operate it. The skill development is a very important activity where all of semi-skilled people operating should be trained on that. Technology has to be compatible to adopt and use shared digital infrastructure. Integration of various digital softwares to avoid duplication and re deployment is very important, and common application with restricted uh, access to all stakeholders should be there. If all this happens as part of the process innovation and technology adoption, the complete end-to-end transportation model will achieve its objectives of being completely automated, digitized, manless, and also very robust, which has got a agility to change as per the unexpected changes happening. And the way forward could be that it needs a complete collaboration with the industry bodies, transport associations, government agencies, automotive manufacturers, IT and hardware software. With this idea, I conclude my presentation, and I would welcome any questions on the ideas, my thoughts on the whole process, how technology and process innovation can create a very robust transportation supply chain. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Captain Yogesh. It was an interesting presentation, actually. And I would like to see if there's any questions to be asked. If not, you can always get back at the launch after the session and speak to him one-on-one. We have a social launch where people can talk to each other, ask questions, and get more clarity on how your business can take. So, Captain Yogesh, there's one question asking, how is Gati operating now?
How is Gati operating now?
Oh, yeah, I think the company that you're from.
Gati, as of now, has partly automated its operations, but we are still not online. The presentation which I have shown is the entire industry transformation happening. So all individual stakeholders like Gati, Delhivery, or Safe Express, they all have to participate to make the whole ecosystem work on that. It cannot happen on an individual basis.
So there's another one more. Thank you, Captain. There's another one more quick question. To what extent current transport operators are GPS enabled?
I think so. To my knowledge, there is a huge adoption, acceptance of GPS now. There used to be a fear from the driver that we are being monitored and watched, but now the industry is accepting GPS as an important tool. Now with SIM-based tracking coming in, GPS tracking coming in, the visibility is, I think so, more than 50% now.
Okay, good. Last one question. What is holding back transporters to use GPS? Is there anything that is holding back from
I think
using
so.
that?
It is a mindset issue because GPS transaction, there's a cost involved, and they are saying that the industry is not willing to pay for the service. So when I do my operations without the service, why should I add my cost? So if the users, the shippers community demands that they will not accept any vehicle without the the ecosystem will automatically adjust to the need. It's a question of demand and need. The need has to come from the users. The users are not giving that demand as of now.
Cool. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking that question.
Thank you.
Please stay back, and thank you very much for your time spent. So the next speaker is going to be Miss Carmit Glik, and she is the CEO and Managing Director for the Europe operations of Cogoport. A brief introduction about Carmit. She has a track record of executing large-scale global projects and initiatives, have established operations and new businesses in multiple countries, including China, Italy, Denmark, and the Netherlands. Her key areas of expertise include strategic planning and execution, global sales management, procurement, supply chain management, business development, data analysis, business intelligence review, digital solutions, infrastructure management, global onshore and offshore team management, staff development, and leadership. She earned a global executive MBA in business administration and management from INSEAD. Let's welcome Ms. Carmit Glik once again. Over to you.
Thank you very much for such a kind introduction. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you all for sharing your time with me. And I have to say thank you again to Mr. Yogesh Kundra that such a knowledgeable overview over the digital framework of logistics. Basically, your vision for digital logistics is Cogoport mission to execute. And I do not have as a thorough presentation as you. I would like to have it more interaction. So I do have 4 or 5 slides that I will share later on. But first of all, I would like to start with the topic of our discussion and to introduce you all to a little bit what's happening outside of India, maybe. I'm located in the Netherlands, part of the EU. And one of the biggest difference, I think, from Europe to India or China or even US is the fact that every country in Europe are actually defending themselves in a different way, reacting in a different way. So there is no coherent view of how to deal with this pandemic. So every country is taking a different toll. So you have South Europe with more extreme measurement. You have North Europe when on Monday children are going back to school. And where I am located, which is kind of partial measurement are taking. That means that manufacturing and people are still working and still need materials. They still sourcing. I think for me, to all of you, that probably is the biggest impact on Indian suppliers is the fact that European manufacturing are now looking how to diversify their sourcing, which will definitely going to maybe impact India. In that respect, what's happening right now, what's known to European manufacturing, that India is in lockdown, and it's very much depending for how long that lockdown is going to happen. They will start sourcing in Eastern Europe, Turkey, and will try to find out how to make sure that their business is sustainable. So there is no a complete lockdown over Europe. That's definitely one of the aspects, I think, that will happen. Second of all, and I think Mr. Yogesh has actually put his reference into it, is document flow and the need of actually having digital documents across. In the cases of what we are currently undergoing, we see that not always an original BL, for example, can reach a certain point. We have experienced that a BL for Norway could not reach to India with the shipment, for example, and we had to go through different ways of working around that. So there is definitely more understanding now of, I think, the whole society, how much digital is important to make sure that we have a sustainable working environment across the world that allow us to communicate with each other and collaborate with each other in different means than what we used to do now or what we used to do in the past. So it's definitely a new normal or new reality that we are facing, and how we deal with it, I think that's the most important. And there is so many challenges, but I think there is also so many opportunities to grasp with that. So looking now at what we do at Cogoport, is that what we want to do is actually sharing, and now I will actually share my screen. Beyond make it easy, what we believe now the world actually needed is the collaboration platform that will enable this community of shipper, but also consignee and multiple transport organization and logistics service provider to work on one platform, to have easy access to information, easy access to each other, and have all the information done digitally. So cohort journey so far, you can see the number, it's actually quite impressive, and it wouldn't happen if the need was not there. And we actually believe that today the need is even stronger than it ever been. So what actually we do, to give you a glance of the services, as Mr. Yogesh was saying, this is not enough that one player will become digital. It's not enough that one stream or one country will become digital. The complexity of the global logistics and supply chain is so vast and so different from country to country, but it requires actually everyone contribution into it. So what we as Cogoport, we are not aimed to be a trucker or a forwarder or a shipping line. Our aim is to actually aggregate all the services into a one simple view for a customer to manage it. But beyond managing all your supply chain, I think what is really important, and also what is really important today, if you do it through digital way or you do it otherwise, to make sure that you are constantly keeping communication with your customer. Even in the case that you cannot ship or that you cannot move cargo or there is a lockdown, make sure that you always communicate to your customer of what's the situation. Because bear in mind that what your customer is thinking is that what he hear in the media, is what he hear around the different channels. It might be very, very different than your reality. It might not be the same of what you experience or what you are capable to still service him. So make sure that you always keep communication with your customer, also your supplier, if that's the case. And what we do in Cogoport is actually creating collaboration on the platform between shipper, consignee, forwarders, agent in origin, forwarder agent in destination, truckers, CHAs, and so on and so forth. So everybody will be on the same platform, because one of the biggest lack probably of our supply chain globally is the communication between all these parties that is really partial at many times and create a lot of gaps in the supply chain instead of it to be actually a smooth one. So I think that will be probably the best, I would say, positive thing I could say. You can still communicate, you can still make sure that your customer know what you are, what is your challenges, when you can start producing again. Don't let him be there without knowing and acting differently than what you might want or able to do. So our biggest, I think, focus is that we would like to, for SMEs, to focus in acquiring new business, having time to having those discussions, and worry less on handling all these different pieces and parts in the supply chain, which take enormous amount of time if it's done with the traditional way. So I would really want to open this floor and ask you if you have any question, if you want to hear more about what's happening outside of India, if you have anything you would like to ask me, please do so. Let's see, one question. What would you see as a single biggest change in the way your company would be functioning after a few more weeks? I have to say that luckily, very luckily to us, our vision of collaboration across global by digital, our vision to put all the players of the supply chain digitally on one platform probably is the way forward day after Corona, let's say, because I think if we were the visionary 3 years ago, now it's become very, very clear that probably it's the way to move forward, and businesses realizing it more and more. So we will continue with our journey. We will continue with our part to collaborate and add all the players in the supply chain in India, in Europe, in China, in Southeast Asia, and Middle East. Yes?
Okay, my question was whether do you think that the digital freight forwarders will be taking over the traditional freight forwarders in the coming years, given the situation?
Yeah, I tell you what I think. It's only me. I think every forwarder will be digital forwarder. So and you see those steps happening. You see definitely with the international forwarders that they are or buying or developing digital tools. So for me, a forwarder will be a digital forwarder, exactly like every hotel out there will have a booking platform on his website. Now the question is that what the customer need? Or is that what the customer want, or there is any value that is being forwarded to the customer? Because the challenge with the fact that everybody will have a digital channel is the fact that the customer need to manage all those digital channels. So he need to book a container with a forwarder A, and he needs to book something else with a carrier, and he needs to manage his tracking with another platform, and then doing his customer health broker with another platform. So for me, the fact is, how do I help him? How do I include everyone into one place that they can actually create all of those activities? And this is why Cogoport is for, to be an aggregator for all those players. So it's super good that they are onboarding the digital journey, because that will enable them to open up to many channels like Cogoport, but also else, and to ease the service and ease the use for their customers. Do you consider as a main stakeholder on the platform? Okay, for that question, I would say everybody that is part of the supply chain is a main stakeholder, from forwarders to carriers to truckers to CHA. Everyone that has a part within the supply chain is very much welcome to onboard Cogoport and serve his customer in a much better way, because collaboration is the way forward, as at least I see it. How your system help us if export under LC and BL is part of the LC doc? Yeah, we do not change the current processes. The current processes of LC and the bank most likely will change, not because of us, but they will change because the high pressure that actually bank has, and we see actually that the LC as a product reducing. Actually, the global banks and European center banks believe that they're going to lose $2 trillion US yearly because of the decrease of use of LC. So they are actually looking at other digital products, financial products that will replace LC. But never mind, current LC and BL and original BL is something we are up in our platform. So not everything is digital. There is the part that is digital, and there is the part that require by the customer with original document, and then they will be sent to the customer and the banks, as they always are. I hope that answer your questions.
Yeah, I think we are done. Just one more last one question. Do you assist in payments like COD, cash on delivery? I mean, in local orders?
Yes, we do. That's been done by the team in India, which I'm less involved with, but indeed, as you've seen the number, we have helped extensive amount of SMEs in India to run their export mainly. In Europe is import mainly, and all the processes that are traditional happening today will continue happening. But there is additional layer of the digital platform that allows to create ease of use, accessibility to online documents, and so on and so forth, and also payments.
So there is another last question I'll take is from Chanpi Sethi. Sethi is the director of Transpilo Trucking Solutions. He says that can we be an aggregator of trucking services, be part of your ecosystem, or would you like to or wish to onboard the fleet owners only?
No, we very much would like the aggregator of trucking services as well. I think that allow even better connectivity. So we are very inclusive. We do not say that one party can or the other not. It's not part of our DNA. And what our aim is to really enable SMEs as customer, but also SMEs as suppliers and aggregators as well. So I will be very happy if you can approach me afterwards and we can discuss about such an opportunity.
Absolutely. I think please get on to the social launch and network with Ms. Carmit. I'm sure that she's going to stay back and answer all your queries. So I think we can see a lot many questions are coming after her presentation, which is a good thing. But a lot of people would like to know how the new digital platform is going to help people, and which is a fantastic thing which everyone would like to know. So thank you, Ms. Carmit, for your wonderful presentation. And I'm sure please stay back after the session for 10-15 minutes at the launch, so that people interact with you and ask you more and more questions what they would like to. So thank you once again. So the next speaker is Dr. Hitesh Bhatt. He is the Director of Marketing and Communications from the Retailers Association of India. Dr. Hitesh Bhatt has around 25 years of experience working with some of India's top organizations across diverse sectors, including retail, OTC pharma, FMCG, automotive, petroleum, retail marketing, consulting, and media. He earned his MBA from the University of Mumbai and holds a doctorate in branding and retail. He has completed Executive Retail Management Program from IIM Lucknow. Retailers Association of India is lead trade association representing an entire gamut of retailers, from chain store retailers and department stores to independent emerging retailers, selling a wide selection of products across cities, towns, rural and virtual stores. Welcome, Dr. Hitesh Bhatt. And Dr. Hitesh Bhatt is going to talk about how retailers, or how should retailers relook at their supply chain to sustain their business at the present situation. So welcome, Dr. Hitesh, and over to you.
Thank you, Dojo. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with all of you here today on this webinar, and happy to discuss a few thoughts on retail supply chain that is post-COVID or in times of COVID. If you look at the current scenario, everybody knows that all of us have been inside our homes for the last few weeks. So are the goods and the services inside their respected stores, and so are the raw materials inside their respected locations, and so are the middlemen who are catalyst to ensure that the whole supply chain is seamless. It is very important for all of us to know that there are three basic action points or three strategies that we have to evaluate. One is the sourcing strategy. Second is redesigning the supplier network, building smarter supply chain modeling and doing scenario analysis. And what my predecessor spoke about is data sharing platforms. Now it is imminent that the supply chain will get shorter and leaner. So the adoption of the business relevant digital tools will be an imperative, something that we just saw in the previous presentation. We are looking at digital supply networks where functional silos will be broken and there will be seamless connection of the supply network, which will enable two things or three things, let me tell you: end-to-end visibility, collaboration, and agility and optimization. So leveraging advanced technologies such as Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, etc., are going to be the major thrust areas which the retailers will have to look forward. And this is not subject to retailers only. It applies to everybody across the categories. So what is it that we are looking at now? We should be dynamic and responsive and interconnected, but it's imperative for us to have an end-to-end visibility. It's important for us to have a real-time insights and decisive actions, particularly in escalating the situations, especially in the COVID era. The move should be towards self-correcting supply chains and collaboration, like both of my partners told before this, will be the new normal. And I've been telling collaboration not only for supply chain, collaboration in each and every area, whether it is finance. Because of this current situation, the working capital demand and the problems that have arisen in businesses, especially the small and medium enterprises. If the customer is not coming to your store, your inventory is not being sold. For last 1.5 months, your sales are zero. But your fixed costs are there. Your rents on, your salaries on, your other overheads on. You cannot just do away with those. Sales zero, costs high, and on. Working capital diminished. You are not going to be supported. And it's unfair that for millions of people across the globe, the government is going to sustain. So that's where the smarter and reinvention of the supply chain is an imperative for all of us. Now, what is it that we are looking at? So, COVID has taught all of us the importance of quality and delivery information of future supply chain designs, apart from cost that I have mentioned. Growing need to stress test the supply chains on resilience, responsiveness, and configurability. My supply chain has to be resilient enough to balance these turmulations. Understanding supply chain risks requires greater visibility into tier 1, tier 2 kind of suppliers. What I will require is I am dealing with small, medium, and large kind of suppliers. But if the chain is dependent on these, then there is a possibility that the smaller supplier will die very soon. And if I am totally dependent on that, then I'll have to come up with a solution. Similarly, there is the positive side of a smaller supplier, that he may be able to serve you better. The turnaround time may be quick. So there are pros and cons. Second, diversification of supply chains from a geographic perspective to reduce the regional supply risks. I'm not talking about India and abroad. So that is given for sure. But let's take inside India. Let's take a city like Bangalore. Let's take city like Bombay, Delhi, or any other city, Agra, Lucknow, Kanpur. Now, if geographical perspective has to be taken into consideration, and if the cities are blocked, people are not allowed to come inside and go outside, there will be a tremendous impact on your current business, because the goods and the services that you're supposed to get, which if it is dependent on the supply chain from outside, then there is a big problem for your business. You will have to recalibrate those supply chain aspects as well. Drive to move parts of the supply chain locally and build a robust inventory as a buffer against supply chain disruptions. Identify multiple sources of key commodities or strategic components and put these protocols in place for an alternative supply chain in a short notice, because this is the new normal. Okay, now take the new normal of an example in the hyper-local segment. We all know that in the hyper-local segment, and especially I'm talking about India as a case study, we always have normal deliveries that we used to rely, where the delivery is offered in the same time and the same slot, generally in a day or two. So I order online, and in a day or two for the hyper local delivery, Big Basket, Amazon Go, Grofers, all these guys are delivering. But the new normal is today Shopcluse and Snapdeal also are delivering the hyper local. So initially it was only the non-food category for Shopcluse and Snapdeal, but they have entered into this segment as well. And this is the change. This is the moving of the cheese, guys. Second, express delivery. When we spoke about delivery, the delivery offered typically within 2-3 hours, like Amazon Now, Fresh to Cut, Big Basket, all of them were into this express delivery. I'm talking about hyper local. Today, Domino's is doing that. Domino's was delivering pizza, but now they have entered into this. And that's again a new normal, that they are doing this hyper local delivery. Then Whole Fit, Boxite, all these guys have entered into this segment. Again, there is one more delivery kind of a model, which is known as a micro kind of, or a super micro kind of a delivery model, where delivery is typically at a society level or the apartment or nearby location where you are staying. So we always had Big Baskets, and we always had Daily Ninja and Super, etc., who used to do this, taking the essentials and the hyper local goods to the apartments. But today, No Broker, Ninja Cart, Store Say, all these guys have started doing that. Look at the disruptions that's happening. And the fourth one, like, which is completely emerging, the new models, that is the COVID models. We're offering delivery within an hour or two through a network of local retailers. Initially, Dunzo used to do that. Swiggy stores used to do that. Today, we have got Bharat Pay, and we have got Zomato, and who are now taking the same orders from a local Kirana guy and trying to deliver it to our houses in 2 hours time. So this is the impact. This is the case study of hyperlocal, to show you how the impact has happened to the supply chain, and how the supply chain models are being recalibrated, and how the new normal is being created. And this is the new normal. Nobody had thought that Shopcluse and Snapdeals and Domino's and Boxits and No Broker, etc., will be entering these kind of models, right from a 1-day, 2-day delivery to a apartment or a society delivery to a 2-hour delivery at your home. These models are disrupting, and that's where the change is coming. So what do we do for the suppliers? Due to the surge demand for essential non-discretionary goods, retailers are facing network-wide shortages. To combat this, retailers are working closely with companies across the supplier basis. For most important products, daily meetings are being held with strategic suppliers to work through these options to secure an adequate supply which is of high essential. Okay, right now we are into the high essential, high demand category. This is the first and the foremost priority for those in the food, drugs, and mass categories, which is the current scenario across the globe, to secure the fast and the reliable supply. Second, so what is the actions taken that we have? The actions that are taken are simple. Simplifying the SKUs so that my SKUs are shortened, and I reduce the varieties and I boost the quantities. Because let's assume a normal bread or a normal noodles or a normal dal or pulses is the requirement, I'll keep the SKUs limited because this is what is required. And I'll boost the quantities. I'll increase the quantities. Initially, I used to take 5, 10, 15, whatever the size of the retailer is. Now it's 50, 100, 200. And that's the way it has gone in this last couple of weeks. Easy payment terms, again, a very important part of the supply chain, payment terms across, because everything works on the working capital management. And that will remain your supply chain, make your supply chain remain strong. Widening delivery appointment videos if you are doing it through online, even offline. Relaxing on time and full requirements. So there is a relaxation that I want everything within 2 hours. No, it can be 2, it can be 4, so that you can tweak the supply chain, you can tweak the delivery points, and you will have to redirect the resources. Let's come to merchandising. With retailers looking to recalibrate their product orders to be in line with the customer demand, they will also need to feed the change across their purchasing, planning, inventory management options. Let's talk about non-food and non-essential items. As I told you, we are sitting in our houses, the goods are sitting in the stores. So already the inventory is there. There is nobody to purchase. The seasons change. The fashion changes. There has to be a freshness in the whole merchandise that you bring to the consumers. How are you going to discard that? When are you going to plan and give new orders? But why will you give new orders? There is a complete lockdown. The customers are not coming because there is a fear of COVID, that if I go to any XYZ place to buy, there is a high possibility that I may get infected. And thus the customers will be reluctant to go there. Thus your merchandise will not move. Thus your ordering will not happen. Thus your manufacturing will not happen. Thus your supply chain will be affected. So it's a complete chain. Retailers will have to take actions. What? Revise the purchasing plans favoring items in demand. Number one, we will have to redirect inventories towards locations where sales are particularly active. So if out of 10 locations, 3 are in red zones or 5 are in red zones, I don't touch them at all. I plan my supply chain inventory management in such a way that only out of those 10, 5 or 3 which are active, I will ensure and do my inventory planning management accordingly. I will also bypass and override my replenishment and inventory allocation algorithms, because everybody works on these algorithms, the softwares, etc. I will have to bypass. Then I'll have to reassign my merchandising, my operation staff. I have to reassign my in-store marketing budgets. I have to relocate inventory which is already owned, or to conserve. I have to conserve cash. I'm again talking working capital cash, because an important part. Otherwise, chakka jam, it's not going to move. Let's come to distribution. In this part of the supply chain, distribution is where demand trends for non-discretionary and discretionary goods start to overlap significantly. We will have to reassign employment to increase the capacity. Cross training and reassignments of back office and store personnel, because today the scenario is changing. You are not understanding it, but nobody can guarantee that a store in this particular location will open only after 3rd May or 15th May. It can, in some locations, if there are red zones, it can take months or also, and in some locations it can be in weeks. So I have to do all that recalibration again. Temporary movement of office works into distribution centers, improve retention, turnover, conduct health screenings, and all these things are hygiene factors which will be imperative for you to ensure that your supply chain is intact. We all have seen that one of the delivery boys had this COVID-19, and the news is that he has infected 80 of them. So what is the guarantee? I'll be talking about the online part very soon, but this is the risk that we are going to face, whether it's online or offline. So the supply chain will definitely be impacted. Logistics. What about logistics? More so ever, even before, maintaining flexibility within logistics is essential. The current surge in demand is slowly consuming the excess capabilities, because that is the way this current scenario has made us do and behave. That's the consumer behavior. That's not by design. It's by default. So what is the action that I have to take? I have to bypass distribution centers and ship goods directly to the stores, and simplify assortments and packaging processes. Not in every case, I am repeating. Sometimes all these stores will become just delivery and fulfillment centers, because the owner will order online, the goods will come from the DC, and it will go to the either it comes directly to the consumer, or it will go to the retail shop, and an XYZ third party service provider may pick it up and send it to your house. We will also have to supplementing non-discriminatory transportation capacity via partnership with under discretionary goods transportation fleets. So as I told you, there will be two kinds of things: discretionary and non-discretionary. So we'll have to use the discretionary good transportation fleets which are underutilized because they are in excess. FMCG, fast for the essential good services, the essential products are moving fast. Their transportation is required. Discretionary good transportation is not moving fast. So can a collaboration again come here? Can a partnership come here? Can I use that? All these calibrations will have to take place. Fulfillment. Due to self-isolation, quarantining and stay-at-home orders emerging as a result of pandemic, companies are looking to increase online shopping, as I mentioned. And for this, we will have to widen our delivery windows for either immediate or the same day delivery. There is going to be a fundamental shift in the way the consumers are going to behave. Initially, it was only some products that we used to order online. Now, food and essential services have become an integrated part. And why? Today, in this lockdown period, almost everybody has started to use this piece, which is there in our hands, more effectively and efficiently to order online. This period has taught the consumers who are not tech savvy to start ordering online, and that is the consumer change which is going to drive, and it's going to be an habit. So in order to give retailers time to rationalize the scheduling and routing of deliveries, we will have to widen the delivery scope. We have to convert some outlets to dark stores to compensate for declining in store traffic. As I told you, once the mall, whenever it opens, the consumer may be hesitant. There will be stores who will be hesitant to open, so they will have to keep closed because your electricity bill, your other fixed and variable costs will be there. We will have to cut those costs, so better keep the convert those outlets into dark stores. Temporarily shifting in-store employees to delivery jobs, basis if they agree and basis the policies of the companies, etc. It's an individual company's call, but you will have to do that because staff is excess. Either you will have to chuck them, which is not the human side of it, but maybe practical in a long term, I don't know. But yes, if they can be shifted to some other jobs like delivery, etc., basis if they are agreeing to do it for a short time. Lower online order size to qualify for free shipments and relaxing return windows to provide more flexibility for consumers. So if I buy, I'm not happy, I should have the flexibility to return. So when I order online, I need that partner to be tied up with the retailer. So that partner, the supply chain happens there. For in lieu of that, the retailer will also have to ensure that his DC also has that inventory. In further, he has to ensure that the manufacturer is manufacturing it, and all these things have to be done there. Enough time has to be given. If I have to return the goods again, it has to be transported from my place to the stores, and from stores to the DC, so on and so forth. Lower online order size to qualify for free shipments is what I spoke. Capping purchases of high demand products. We have to shorten the store hours, reserving the periods of the day for high risk shoppers. Can I do that? Sanitizing the stores, etc. So I can do that. Only this time is only for the senior citizens, and this time is for somebody else. So all these things would be a part of it. And what I feel is very soon we are going to, this is going to be implemented. Companies are planning it, and I think that there will be a lot of change in the way the supply chain needs to be planned, because there is a change in the consumer behavior, and there will be change on the balance sheets of the retailers. They'll have to take a call, they'll have to optimize, they'll have to get into collaboration with all the ecosystem partners, their finance partners, their manufacturers, suppliers, transporters. And that's where the collaboration also is one of the key things which I keep telling everywhere, that this is the way. If every stakeholder in the supply chain comes together, then we'll be able to ensure that it is a success. So that's for now, friends. I'll be open to take any questions, if any.
Thank you, Dr. Hitesh, for your wonderful presentation. We have a question from Mr. Uday Mathur, is the National Director of Knight Frank. Knight Frank is one of the leading property consultants across the world. And he's asking, is RAI considering any representation to the government about what is required for gaining equilibrium during these times?
No, so I think that is not what. So he's talking about the representations to the government.
Yeah. Are you considering any representation to the government about what is required for gaining equilibrium during this time?
So, the representations that we have made is for the overall industry as such, and not only about any particular, function, whether it is logistics, finance, or this. We have done representations which is going to take care of the overall interest of the retail industry. So that's where our representation with the government is, because retail is the second biggest employer. Okay, and we are looking, if this scenario continues financially, if the retailers are not helped, then there is going to be a big chaos. So we are considering the overall picture and not only the logistics picture when we represent.
Thank you, Dr. Hitesh. Thank you for your time. So I would like to invite Mr. Anand Biswas as the next speaker. Mr. Anand Biswas is the Director SME Business at Delhivery. With close to a decade of experience, Anand Biswas heads the SME business of Delhivery and is responsible for acquiring and growing the small and medium enterprise business vertical. Before Delhivery, he has held P&L responsibilities in high growth mobility startups like Ola and Zoomcar for 4 years, and spent more than 3 years in retail sales at Pidilite. He is a management graduate from IIM Bangalore. So welcome, Mr. Anand, and over to you.
Hi, thanks, Dojo. Thanks to all the other speakers. It was really good listening to all of you. And Dr. Hitesh, some of the points that you brought out in your presentation, I completely agree with them. With resilience, with the supply chain being resilience, diversify across, in terms of both internationally and locally, as well as within the country. So, for example, we've seen certain parts of the country more affected, like Mumbai. There are more containment zones. So, if your supply chain within the country is diversified, that gives us a huge advantage in terms of diversifying your risk. And also, really another point that you mentioned, and we've been feeling this, and we've interacting with other people, is the consumer behavior. So the shift to online was definitely happening from quite some time. But what COVID will bring out, and this is what our sense is also, that it will accelerate the movement from offline to online much faster, because people are now forced to leave aside some of their apprehensions and actually try purchasing online, whether it is hyperlocal. For example, their first online buying experience could be ordering atta through Domino's or Swiggy, right? So these shifts are happening definitely, and of course, it is one thing, and I really like the tone of your presentation, where it's one thing to say yes, COVID has affected us negatively, but you really brought out a lot of the opportunities that one could see in this situation. So if one of the opportunities is that consumer behavior is going to be accelerated to online, then as businesses, as small and medium businesses, I think it's our responsibility to embrace that and prepare accordingly for the future, right? So really, thanks a lot for your presentation and for all the speakers before him. Right. So let me just share my screen. I am representing Delhivery, and let me try to share what we have been able to do during the pandemic, and what the impact on supply chain according to us. So I'll just start. I know everyone knows about the situation, but a very, very quick recap. So basically on 22nd March, we had a Janta curfew. Most of us were feeling that it's about 14 hours. Okay, fine. What's the big problem? It's anyway a Sunday. It's not going to change much. We can be anyway stay indoors, so not really a big problem, right? And then on 24th March, the nationwide lockdown was announced at 8 p.m. This was definitely unprecedented. All domestic trains and flights had stopped. The nation comes to a halt. Only essential goods are now allowed to move, right? So I'll just take a pause here to tell you how much that affects a logistics company, because Delivery moves more than 1 million shipments a day. I mean, every day, right? But the network is not designed to classify essential and non-essential. We move everything from fridges to grocery to coffee to pet food, everything essential, non-essential, mobile phones, computers, laptops. We move everything, and it was never a priority for us to classify. Okay, which good is essential, which good is not essential, whether it's a lipstick or a skincare product is essential or not. We never had to classify that. But now, suddenly overnight, right now, we have to classify these million shipments into what is essential, what is non-essential, right? Uh, so also at the same time, all these shipments are somewhere there in the network, and also they are somewhere. Some are there in our trucks, some are there in our facilities. So one is the tech. How do we enable tech to immediately classify the network as the shipment as essential? So there is shipment level data that people have given us while manifesting. Some of it might not be accurate, but largely we have the data that people have given us. Using AI, we predicted, okay, what could be essential among these million shipments that are moving with us, and what percentage is not. And so that anytime a person scans a shipment, a flag is shown to him whether the shipment is essential and non-essential. So this helped us sort out entire shipment in the network within 2 days, right? So basically, so this is the situation, post lockdown. So, you know, 25th and 26th March, we were absolutely not able to operate anything. And in the third day, from the third day onwards, we could make. So India has a total of about 19,000 pin codes which are active. So from day 3 onwards, we could make close to 5,000 pin codes active for essential items only. And this number of course kept changing a little bit, and then from in after the 5th day, we could open up close to 15,000 pin codes. Again, this is strictly for essential commodities only. So from 31st, and then the number has been steady there. Most of the states which are still not really active are J&K, Himachal Pradesh, uh, parts of Kerala. So these are most of the northeast. So these are some of the pin codes where we are still struggling. But otherwise, almost out of the 18,000 pin codes that we serve regularly, we have been able to operate for essentials in across almost 15,000 pin codes during the lockdown. What has really made this possible in 5 days? I'd just like to take you through some of the things that helped us do this, and sort of also discuss what sort of a player will be able to do this. And so, for example, the resilience piece, which Dr. Hitesh was mentioning, that is the question you will need to ask in terms of COVID. That which type of a logistics player is going to be the most resilient, right? So, according to me, the answer is basically large and nimble. So, if you're large, you have certain advantages. But however, usually when you're large in size, the problem happens is that you cannot act fast enough. You're not closer to the ground, and decisions take longer, right? So, you have to be large at the same time, be nimble, right? So, some of the things which really helped us. So, because we are present in across min codes, so some of the larger pieces which helped us were we were able to be part of the logistics webinar with the commerce minister. The leadership team was in touch with key ministries like home affairs, like commerce, at a higher level. However, India is a complex country, and what happens at the central level is a guideline or an advisory. And I'm sure many of you would have faced this. While the government says that essential goods should move seamlessly, it does not immediately happen, because at the district level, at the district collector level, at the police station level, sometimes people take time to understand what it means and react differently. The interpretation is different. So we need to also act locally, because what the local, every local, so Gurgaon, so Delhi police has their own EPA system. Some other, so you cannot expect a country as complex as India to suddenly have something that is standard across the country. So every region will act locally, and we have to be okay with that, and we have to accept that and deal with it, right? You cannot challenge why this is how things should happen. Everyone should follow standard. Fine, yes, all that is perfect in the ideal world, but we are not living in an ideal world. We are living in an imperfect world where people are trying to do the best that they can, and we have to accept that and change our systems accordingly, right? So having quick and immediate decision making really helped us, because we started following our WHO guidelines in all facilities right from 5th March onwards, with a strict sanitization schedule, social distancing training being reinforced every day. Our first priority is that nobody across our network should get infected, because so just like, for example, in China and in a lot of the other countries, what started happening is a lot of doctors started getting infected, and hence that slowed down the progress in treatment. So we were very clear, the leadership was very clear, that we will allow work from home much before it is made mandatory, because we can't allow anyone in our network to get infected. In that case, it severely stops our capacity in helping to move things. So hence the first priority was to make our facilities safe and sanitized, also so that the workers get more confidence in coming to work. So the attendance, so that it has a direct impact on attendance, which has a direct impact on how much we can move shipments over our network. Right. So, like I was telling you, that the essentials piece was built almost within a few hours, where we used AI to sort of tag shipments as either essential or non-essential. The physical sorting took about 2 days of time across centers, and hence we could open network for essentials across 4,200 pin codes on the third day. And all this while we have local teams which basically coordinate with the local law enforcement, with the central, of course the central team does, but and all this while we did immediate communication back to clients. As soon as we started 4,000 pin code, the same day the mail went out that these are the 4,000 pin codes that we can operate on. If you have essential items to ship, this is the process. We have to now we had to take a declaration from the client stating that they are essential. We had to upload it in the system, which was immediately available to the delivery agent who was going out and taking the shipment, as well as the person who was picking up the shipment from the seller. So the tech team worked in overnight to ensure that this declaration that we get from the client gets immediately available to the FE who is actually going and handling your shipment, right? Uh, so, these are things that sort of helped us in getting back on track in 2 or 3 days. However, if I were to answer the larger question on how to select your logistics partner to minimize disruption, I feel this is probably the most important slide in my presentation. So I'll take a bit of time here. I've tried to answer this. Some questions which you can evaluate your partner on is scale. First is you have to question, is your partner growing their capability continuously? Because logistics is such an industry where scale really matters. And this is, I'm mentioning this because this is a this is intended for small and medium enterprises, and I'm talking about a company where I'm saying being large is important, but it's about certain things which can be handled better at scale. So for example, if there is a company which has fulfillment services as fulfillment centers as well as last mile delivery, so it can cross utilize resources. uh, so if fulfillment services is, let's say, for an AC service provider right now that is non-essential, I can move those people and make them do deliveries for essential services. So that's where scale sort of helps, right? The second question is fast. Is can your logistics partner adapt to sudden changes very fast? Because the variability in the system is at an all-time high. Today this is allowed, tomorrow that is not allowed. Can you adapt in that kind of an environment? There are robust systems and processes, but what happens when those processes are no longer valid? Can you change and create new processes overnight, right? And I think the most important piece is resilience. We've spoken about it. Dr. Hitesh has spoken about it. Uh, does the logistics partner have the ability to continue in tough situations, right? This is a very important piece. Uh, then we talk about technology, and I sort of explain why, sort of how technology becomes important, because uh, you have to have the data of the shipments to first understand whether they are essential and non-essential. We can't check and open each package and then decide, okay, these are essential, these are non-essential. No, it has to be in the system, in the data, so that as soon as a person scans the shipment, immediately he's told, okay, essential, non-essential, move this file or that file. That decision has to be taken instantly, right? Uh, and the other piece is, does your logistics partner have control of most of the network themselves? Because if if you don't have the direct control of most of the network, you cannot take some of these decisions fast enough, so it impacts your ability to be fast. For example, like the example I mentioned, that if you have fulfillment centers, can you deploy those people somewhere else? So that control you need to have over the network, so that in changing times you need more control. Just like in changing times, in these times, the prime minister or the health minister has so much control on what acts they can enforce in order to ensure that the larger population is safe. Similarly, the logistics partner should be more in control of his own network, so that they can take decisions faster and have more leeway to take those decisions, right? So uh, these are sort of all the questions that you need to ask when you're thinking of your supply chain, of your logistics partner, during times like this, which really ask us, which force us to ask questions, and as to whether we have the right supply chain policy in place or not. Okay. uh, I'll just quickly move on, and like spoke about scale. So the kind of services that delivery offers include express parcel, which is basically the for players like for parcels that you typically order from Amazon, small parcels, they can be delivered to your home individually. So I saw a set of questions from earlier that some of you are into food products and you want to deliver pan India. So that this is the network which typically does that. The second is warehousing. We have flexible warehousing where we store for the clients, and we fulfill from different clients. So, for example, one of the things that is going to be a changing trend. It was already there, is customer want their products fast, right? So how can you, in a country like India, if you're shipping from a place like Delhi to, let's say, Chennai, if you're using flight, then that's fine. Otherwise, if by road, it will actually take time. And right now, of course, is a good example to share that. Right now, flights were not operating. So how do you really move a shipment quickly from Delhi to Chennai? One of the ways is simply storing it in a place like Bangalore or Hyderabad or Chennai. So can you have distributed warehousing, so that you don't actually have to move it all the way from Delhi when an order comes? So, and whether there is a disruption like COVID or not, you always are faster to the consumer if you store more locally. So distributed warehousing is sort of another service that is available. in freight, there are full truckload and less than and part truckload services that we have. Uh, in international, we do both imports and exports. In China, we have our own facility in Shenzhen, and China India is sort of our strong lane, where we can the ability to pick up from anywhere in China and bring it to anywhere in India through our network. uh, Internationally, for exports, we also have partnerships with players like UPS and RMX and Skynet. So we pretty much, through those partnerships, are able to deliver anywhere around the world. The other piece is on value-add services. So this is where the data science comes into picture, where we have data on the shipment and we can take decisions much faster. And we have our own address correction system, where which is sort of more detailed than the pin code. So it breaks down each pin code into 2 or 3 parts, and we have the ability to sort of understand whether that part of a pin code is within, let's say, a hotspot zone or not. Okay. So the other piece, like for example, some of the things that we could do during the lockdown is we could enable almost 1,000, and this is all during the lockdown from first to current date of April, 17th or 18th of April. We could enable almost 1,000 plus clients shipping essential items across 15,000 pin codes. Almost 100 plus pharma and FMCG clients were onboarded. Basically, these were not clients of Delhivery before, but when they got the news that, okay, we are operating, almost 100 plus clients wanted to onboard with us, and we have a quick onboarding process. We can have an account created for a seller within 10 to 15 minutes. So we could onboard them quickly and help them start. And during this period, we could move almost 1 million shipments in the last 20 days, close to 20 days. 300 new clients for other essential categories we could onboard, again thanks to our quick onboarding process. Otherwise the documentation, which is completely digital, otherwise the documentation itself is a challenge, and it becomes difficult for signing contracts in this time. So the technology and the digital piece helps there, where you can start clients even in this time. Right. So our entire client support and customer support teams during the entire period have been working from home, and they have the tools and the platforms required to track productivity, so that they're always in touch, because we have a lot of client queries and customer queries during this time. Uh, Also, I think one of the speakers mentioned was communication. How quickly are we communicating with our clients? So our network serviceability was changing every day. Yesterday we could operate, let's say, so even though the numbers were same, 15,200, 15,000, but there were like 2 to 300 pin codes which were changing every day, because there was some local situation complication where we had to shut down for a day and maybe again start in 2 or 3 days. So on every day we used to communicate, and we still are doing that. What is our current network serviceability? Uh, and if we have not been able to serve some pin codes, so we share that every day with the clients. There is a webinar that is also planned for tomorrow, actually at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. for all our clients, which will be addressed by the leadership team of Delhivery, the chief business officer and the chief sales officer. They'll both address all clients of Delhivery through a webinar where they will answer all the questions. So this is again part of the communication that we feel is very important in such uncertain terms. You cannot over communicate in this term. In this time is what we feel. Uh, and these are some of the client testimonials from the last couple of days, because I think what is relevant for this is what has happened over the last few weeks. So these are three of the testimonials that we've got over the last 2 days. Uh, so, uh, so I will just pause here for a second for you to read. So one of them is from Happy Jazz from Nirok Street and Zipa, where they've really been happy that we've been able to help them continue their business in a time like this, and they're extremely happy for that. all of this is just because we could function during the lockdown, and that meant that they could keep the wheels of their small business turning. Right. I'll just take a second to pause back to this slide here. While this number is overall almost uh, close to, in terms of number of clients, the bulk of this number is actually SMEs and small sellers who ship typically less than 5 or 6 thousand shipments in a month. So almost 500 of them are actually small sellers, and not clients like Amazon or Flipkart, but basically very small sellers who have also given us 10 shipments, 15 shipments. So from small sellers, we've been able to do close to, out of this 1 million, almost about more than a lakh shipments from just small sellers. From about 5 to 600 small sellers, we've been able to do about 1 lakh shipments during the lockdown. These are the points that I quickly wanted, and I'll take rest of the time to actually answer some of the questions from you, and if there are, and just take that time to basically answer and interact more. Uh, I just wanted to end this quote with something from General Dwight Eisenhower. He's basically he was the commander of forces of the Allied troops in World War II, which led the Battle of Normandy. He is considered one of the greatest generals of our time. And what he says is, you will not find it difficult to prove that battles, campaigns, or even wars have been won or lost primarily because of logistics. And I think even today we are in a war. We're in a war with an invisible enemy, an invisible threat, which is the virus, which is we can't see, but it is forcing us to stay indoors, which is forcing us to rethink the way that we are living our lives. And we even logistics will sort of help win this war in some sense, because ultimately when people are indoors and they can't go out to buy things have to reach them. Today, what is so, for example, in the first 20 days, mobile phones were not considered an essential item. But if you think of it, what happens if a person breaks his mobile phone during this time? He needs a replacement, right? And that becomes essential. So as and more the lockdown increases, more and more things start becoming essential over a period of time, and those essential items or non-essential items have to reach the people. Otherwise, the wheels of the economy will stop moving. So even in this situation, this is a war where logistics, as usual, plays a very important role. And I just want to end with that thought. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and I'll be open for questions.
Thank you, Anand. It was a brilliant presentation, and we'll just try to see if there's any questions anyone want to raise. Basically, if there is anything that questions, if they can't ask now here in this platform, you can also come to the launch and interact with the speakers, which is
Sure.
there's a
I can see some questions. I can see one question
Samir,
where you said, can we collaborate with Delhivery? Can we attend tomorrow's webinar? So the answer to that is, this mail has gone out to existing clients of Delhivery. I will share an email ID with you, and I don't know, Dojo, is there a way for me to share something
yeah,
either?
of course. We can send in your request to whoever is interested, or if you are, is that only for
Yeah.
your clients, or is it open to anyone?
Yeah, it is for our clients, but if Parth wants to be our client, he can be,
Okay, so yeah, we can.
before tomorrow, he can be our client.
Yeah,
So, and then
so we,
attend. So that
yeah,
is one
yeah, we
thing.
can invite him. We can share that link to. So you can share to us, and we can share to him.
Sure.
Whatever. Or
Another question that I can read is, to gain increased market share, what do you feel should be done at your organization? What do you consider to be the biggest innovation at Delhivery? Uday, good question. So the thing is, right now we have not the conscious idea. We just wanted to operate. We wanted to find a way to function, and just by doing that, we've been able to gain market share. it's a consequence of that. So the idea during this lockdown was, how do we start working? And by enabling to do our core job, we have been able to gain market share at such a time. So I feel that, while market share is important, I think if we focus on our core job, which is to move things faster, we will, tough times like this will help us gain market share, though that is not the central idea which sort of started this. What happens to on-site delivery services like UPS services, plumbers, technicians, water treatment services? I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that. Any other questions that you can help me read, which are related?
Yeah, I think there's no more
Yeah.
questions, but I would ask all the speakers to. Samir Singh, I think, is your question answered?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, how are the systems are at the warehouse are different, the 3PL logistics of warehouse. How are you integrating their systems with your delivery system? If there is a major, bigger warehouse.
Sorry, you're saying if we have our own warehouses? Sorry, I was just getting a call.
If
I
there
thought
is a 3PL logistics warehouse of a small, medium entrepreneur or a large one, or if there is any who have consolidated the bigger warehouse, how are they integrating their applications with your systems? Or you are not having them at all?
no. So we have our all our APIs are based on an open structure. So we provide them, and they can integrate. That is one. And the second is, let's say if you're talking about. So let me rephrase the question and see if I've got it right. If there is a small business with a small warehouse, let's say, are you asking how do we work with them? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
A
Fine.
little bit size or a little larger also.
Understood. Understood. So
And
most
if
of
they
our
have their own
clients,
systems.
understood. So most of our clients are actually like that. Who, let's say, have a small warehouse. It could be, it could be as much as large as a kitchen or a storeroom. So in terms of integration, there are two or three options. One is, let's say, some clients use certain pre-built plugins, like say Shopify or a WooCommerce. Their websites are based on such platforms. So we are integrated with WooCommerce, with Shopify, with Magento, and OpenCart. These are the four large plugins that we have direct integrations with. That is one way. The second is we have our API structure that can be shared with any client, and they can manifest through us through an API. However, that requires a little bit of development effort on the clients. A lot of small clients don't want to invest in this right from the start. So for them, what we have, and this is how 80% of our clients work with us, and that is through a client panel. So as soon as you create an account, you get access to a client panel for delivery, where you can log in, you can manifest your shipments, print packaging slips, create pickup
Yeah.
requests,
Okay.
and the delivery field executive will basically pick up the parcel from your warehouse.
And that is available free with
Yes,
your,
yes, it's
yeah.
available.
Yeah.
so, thank you very much, Samir, for asking that question, and thank you, Anand, for giving a fairly good answer for that. And thank you. I was about to request for all the speakers to come on camera. Thank you very much for all of you to attending today's webinar, and really thank you for the time spent, Dr. Yogesh Kundra. It was really interesting to listen each and every point that you have raised and you have explained. Ms. Carmit, it was wonderful that you spent all the time from Europe. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure that people have learned a lot. I think we need to have one more session on logistics, which is the most important aspect of today's business. Dr. Hitesh Bhatt, your point was fantastic, and it was really valid points for each and every SMEs right now as it's running this present situation. Anand Biswas from Delhivery, I think you've been giving a lot of presentation on our platform in the past, and